coming to you from Hope Family Fellowship, a place of hope in Northeast Texas. It's time for Hope Kids! Starring Pastor Rusty, Miss Sasha, Miss Chastity, Miss Chesley, and Major Lee Skeptical. Also starring Josh, Teriyaki, and Disco Dave. Buckle in your seats, kids, because it's time for our next lesson in our series. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true.
Hey kids, welcome back to our series. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I can't wait for us to learn today's crazy story. Now we're giving away a $20 gift card to Magic Scoop. I love Magic Scoop, best ice cream in town. All you have to do is register. And to register, you have to let your parents know to tell us that you're watching. They can write it in the comments section or text the word kids to 903-300-1994. We're going to announce the winner for tonight's service next week during our Hope Kids service online. Before we get started, I've got a question for you. Have you ever had a big need, but you just didn't know how you were going to meet it? Yeah, it happens sometimes. Maybe one of your parents lost their job, so they didn't have the money to pay bills or buy food. Maybe you needed some school supplies and you didn't know where you were going to get those from or how you were going to pay for them. What is a need that you have had that you just didn't know how you were going to meet? Come on, tell us. Well, today we're learning a crazy story about a need that one of Jesus' disciples had. And in order for him to meet that need, Jesus told him to do something crazy. And we're going to find out more about it today in our story. But first, we want to hear from our friend Josh. And he's going to help us understand what our lesson is all about.
What's up, everybody? It's time once again for the weird, the bizarre, the wacky of the Bible. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Today we're talking about something that pretty much everybody likes. Barbecue.
Yeah! Making my enemies cry.
Bologna sandwiches! Woohoo!
Christmas trees. Oh, he finally said something normal. Dipped in acid. Spoke too soon. No, sorry, none of that stuff. We're talking about money. Moolah. Yes. Cashola. Uh-huh. Dinero. Sure. The green stuff. Cabbage. Jack in your jeans. Okay, Cletus, calm down. They get it. Yes, making sure. Now, money can sometimes be kind of weird. It doesn't always look like this.
Am I still president?
For a while in Central and South America, they used cocoa beans as money. Yeah, chocolate.
Yeah! I ate all of my allowance.
In some countries, they use teeth. Now I can buy a car. And in Canada, there's even a $1 million coin that weighs 220 pounds. That'd take a big old piggy bank. Where almost everywhere you go, people are obsessed with money. Yeah! Not just that, just stuff in general. And they're always worried about running out. Even the disciples, the guys that hung out with Jesus. Just like in today's story, the disciples needed money, so Jesus provided in a way that was kind of weird. He used a fish.
Say what?
I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Well, that sounds fishy. I don't get it. Well, anyway, you're gonna learn more about it in today's lesson. The disciples go fishing for some money. We'll see you next time. Hit the button, Professor. I'm sorry, I just don't feel like it today. Thank goodness. Just kidding. No, wait. You're welcome.
Wow, it's not easy to believe that God would choose to do things that are a little crazy and out of the ordinary. But how many of you know that nothing is too hard for God? That's right, nothing's too hard, and you're exactly right. God can do anything, even though His message are sometimes hard for us to understand. They're a little crazy. We must never forget that miracles can come in all kinds of shapes, and they can come in all kinds of sizes. So you're going to learn more about how God met Peter's need in today's Bible story. But right now, we need to check in with our good friend, Disco Dave, and he's going to teach you what you got to know.
What's happening, you crazy cats? It's me, Disco Dave, and I'm here to tell you what you gotta know. Today, we're learning that God will provide for our needs. So today, every time somebody asks you what you gotta know, you tell them, when I have a need, God will provide. God can help us with everything we need. Everything? Whoa. Yep, everything. God knows exactly what you need, and He will provide every time. So today, every time somebody asks you what you gotta know, you tell them, when I have a need, God will provide. That right there is what you gotta know. I'm Disco Dave saying, Dynamite!
Okay, kids, I want you to stand to your feet and let's all say the what you gotta know together. And I've got some motions for you to do. So when you hear the sound today, you have to say, when I have a need, God will provide. Okay? Say it with me. When I have a need, God will provide. So every time you hear this sound today,
Funky fresh. What you gotta know.
stand to your feet and say, when I have a need, God will provide.
Left, 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 right, left, left, left.
Whoa there! Major League, what's going on? What's got you distracted?
Civilian, I am completely distracted. You hit the target on the nose.
I don't think that's a thing, hitting the target on the nose. But I think I got what you need. What's got you distracted?
You never hit a target on the nose? Do you get it now, civilian?
Yes, sir, Major, sir. I get it.
Good. Now as to your other question, I am a bit distracted for sure. There's a huge need back at the base, and I am attempted to fill it in light of my other duties.
What is it that you're having trouble with at the base?
Well, we have a need to raise funds for a training class that I really wanted to take so I could train all my company in a special skill.
Oh, is this some sort of like martial arts or taekwondo class?
No, it is some sort of martial arts class, but it is an art though. It's an art of sushi rolling. I love sushi rolls.
Okay, let me get this straight. You need to raise money for a sushi roll class?
10-4, civilian. Once again, you have hit the target on the nose.
Well, I'm not sure I can say there's really a need, but I can tell you that today we're learning that God will provide for our needs. Maybe you can hang around and listen to our lesson.
You doubt my need for sushi roll class, civilian? Well, I I doubt your ability to roll a perfect sushi roll. What do you think about that?
I think you're a bit obsessed with the sushi roll thing. I mean, can't you just go to a sushi restaurant if you want sushi rolls? Or perhaps pick up a nice package of sushi rolls at a gas station?
Have you ever seen what happens to a person that is desperate enough to eat a sushi roll from a gas station? It's terrifying. Poor Mike, my cousin, he ate some. I saw it. First he doubled over, and in the pain. Next, he made a loud sound like a whale. Finally, he rolled on the floor like this, and that was it.
That does sound kind of terrifying. Sorry about your cousin.
Mike is pretty good now, but it took a while to recover. To this day, my Aunt Nancy has to put gas in his truck. He won't go near a gas station.
Well, I can see why you may need to learn how to roll some sushi so you don't get desperate like your cousin Mike.
Thank you for understanding, civilian. I hope you and these kids have a great day today. Learn that God will provide for your needs.
I have no doubt that we will have a great time learning that God will provide for our needs. Thank you, Majorly Skeptical.
Bye, kids. At ease, civilian.
Bye, Major.
Left, 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 right, left.
Woo-hoo! Funky fresh. What you gotta know?
When I have a need, God will provide.
Today's crazy Bible story is found in the book of Matthew, chapter 17. One day, Jesus and the disciples arrived at a town called Capernaum. One of Jesus' disciples, Peter, was approached by some of the temple tax collectors. They got in his face and said, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" Peter was surprised, but he responded, "Of course he does." Now, Peter was in a tough situation. He had just promised these tax collectors that he and Jesus were going to pay this tax. The problem was that Peter had left his fishing business behind, so he didn't have a way of making money anymore. He was probably just a little bit worried about how in the world he was going to actually pay this tax. Peter went to find Jesus and bring this need to Jesus' attention. He went to the house where Jesus was staying. The moment Peter walked up to him, Jesus spoke to him, even before Peter could tell him why he was there. Jesus said, "What do you think, Peter? Do kings tax their own people or the foreigners they have conquered?" Peter had to be shocked. Jesus was asking him a question about taxes before he even had a chance to say anything about why he was coming to him. That's crazy. Jesus went on to say, "We don't want to offend anyone, so we should pay the temple tax." Then Jesus told Peter, "Go down to the lake and throw in a fishing line. Open the mouth of the first fish you catch, and you will find a coin. Take the coin and go pay the tax for both you and for me." Wow, what a crazy idea. How was he going to find money in a fish? But Jesus told Peter what to do, and Peter obeyed. Can you imagine what it must have been like for Peter? He went down to the lake, put out a fishing line, and pulled in a fish, reached into the fish's mouth, and pulled out a coin to pay the temple tax. Can you imagine how awesome it must have been for him to go back to those tax collectors and hand them a coin with fish guts all over it? It must have been so much fun. Peter learned a lesson that you are going to learn about today as well. You are going to learn that when you have a need, God can provide, even in the craziest of ways.
Woo-hoo! Funky fresh. What you gotta know?
When I have a need, God will provide.
Ooh, a little sweet,
and the salt. A little sweet. Oh, hey boys and girls, it's me, Teriyaki, and I was just cooking up something tasty for my restaurant, Nice Rice. It's a 5-star fine dining establishment that's famous for, you guessed it, my rice. Hard to mess that up. Now today, I'm also cooking up a very special power verse. The trouble is, I'm famous for getting things mixed up. Eggs aren't the only thing I scramble. I mix up the ingredients, the names of our dishes, and even the power verse. So I'm gonna need your help unscrambling the whole thing today. So let's look at it together. And Corinthians will generously provide God. 2 All You Need 9:8. No, that is wrong. Very mixed up. Kinda like the time I accidentally scrambled the chickens instead of the eggs. There is nothing worse than a bunch of dizzy chickens running around your kitchen. Ooh, that was rough. Anyway, boys and girls, I'm gonna need your help getting this one unscrambled. Let's take a look at it together. And Corinthians will generously provide God. Whoops, that's a mix-up. I think Corinthians and God are in the wrong spot. Let's try swapping them. And God will generously provide Corinthians. I guess he did create the Corinthians, but I bet that's the book of the Bible. Let's move it over. Where's it say this verse is found? All You Need 9:8. That's not right. I bet Corinthians goes there, and All You Need goes in that blank. Should we try it? I think so. Yes, that's it. I think we have it. Now stand with me and say it loud on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And God will generously provide all you need. 2 Corinthians 9:8. That's a great power verse. Now, let's make sure we really know it so when we need to remember it later, it's not all mixed up in our brains. Stand up and say it loud on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And God will generously provide all you need. 2 Corinthians 9:8. Great job, boys and girls. Now, I've got to get back to seasoning my soup. A little bit of summer, a dash of winter, a pinch of autumn, and a sprinkle of spring. A sprinkle. Anyway, the customers are waiting. So until next time, this is Teriyaki saying, ladles up.
Hey, thanks, Teriyaki, for giving us today's power verse. Now, kids, we want you to stand up and sing with us this worship song.
Guess what? We have a brand new song today. Isn't that exciting? Okay, so everybody stand up on your feet, stand up, and let's learn this new song together.
Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized, here with you. Come on now. Now this love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, it's more than just words, love beyond my control.
Everybody go out of control. Now clap your hands.
This is real love, this is real love. See, this is real love, this is real love. Come on, let's say, you're pulling me closer and closer.
go down.
You won't let me down. You got me. You got me. This love is for real. You will never let go. Never let go. Oh, it's more than just words. Love beyond my control.
Go out of control.
Pulling me closer and closer. Holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love. This is real love.
All right, let me see you guys try it.
Come on, y'all. You're pulling me closer and closer. Holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. So this is real love. This is real love. Oh.
All right, now everybody get down low.
Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive.
Here we go.
Suddenly brought to life when I met you. 1, 2, 3.
Now everybody jump.
This is real love. This is real love. This is real love.
Here we go.
This is real love. Oh. One more time, we say.
All right, here we go.
You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love. This is real love. This is real love.
Everybody make some noise.
Woo-hoo! Funky fresh. What you gotta know?
When I have a need, God will provide.
Hey, boys and girls, in our Bible story today, Peter had a need, a big need. Have you ever been there? Have you ever had a huge need that you just didn't know how you were going to take care of? Maybe you owed your brother money and you didn't have the money to pay him back. Or maybe you had something you really needed to buy for school, but your parents just didn't have the money to buy it. Well, we all have moments in our lives in which we have huge needs. We have some choices we can make in those moments. We can freak out. We can worry ourselves half to death asking, what am I going to do? And how am I going to pay for this? What's going to happen? We can do those things, but will those things help take care of the need we have? Of course not. Peter didn't do any of those things either. Instead, Peter did something that all of us need to do when we have a big need. After the temple tax collectors asked him about the taxes that were owed, Peter went to find Jesus and bring his need to Jesus' attention. He went straight to the house where Jesus was staying. He was going to find Jesus and ask him to help him. That is a lesson for you and I, kids. When you have a need, come to Jesus. Peter didn't go off trying to figure out how he was going to pay the tax. He didn't come up with some crazy plan of selling brownies or putting on a magic show in order to raise the money to pay the tax. His first thought was, I must go talk to Jesus. Boys and girls, when we have a need, we must go talk to Jesus first. He's the one that can help us with our need. Did you notice that when Peter walked to tell Jesus about his need, Jesus already knew about it? Jesus started talking to Peter about his tax need before Peter could even mention it. What does that teach us? God knows what you need before you ask. Jesus already knew that Peter was worried about the taxes he owed. So Jesus told him to do about it even before Peter asked him about it. Boys and girls, sometimes we begin to wonder if God really knows what's going on in our lives. We wonder if He really knows what we're going through. Well, He knows. He knows about every need that we have even before we ask Him about it. Just like Jesus told Peter what to do and how to obey, we must trust and obey to do whatever God tells us to do. As we're faithful, God will provide. Peter thought there was no way he was going to be able to afford the temple tax, but he followed Jesus' instructions. He went down to the lake and cast his fishing line in. It might have made more sense if Peter had put a net into the sea, right? Well, that way he could have caught more fish and had a better chance of catching the right fish. But Jesus didn't tell him to get a net. Jesus said, throw out a line and pull in the first fish that you catch. He pulled in that fish, reached into the fish's mouth, and pulled out a coin that was enough to pay for his taxes and Jesus' taxes. Isn't that awesome? God provided. No matter what needs you have, God knows all about it. And it doesn't matter how big it is, because God is bigger. He may provide for that need in a way that you never thought he would. I'm sure Peter never thought he would be paying for his taxes with fish money, but God knew. God provides for his children. We must trust him and expect him to take care of our every need. Lord, I pray that you would be with these students as they trust you, as they give you their needs, big or small, as they know that you are the miracle working God. Lord, help us to increase our faith and believe that you are bigger than any need we have. In Jesus' name, amen.
Woo-hoo! Funky fresh. What you gotta know?
When I have a need, God will provide.
We are so glad that you joined us for Hope Kids tonight. It was awesome to have you watching along with us. If your family needs prayer, have your parents email us at prayer@hopefamily.tv, or they can text the word pray to 903-300-1994. Don't forget to enter our contest before you log off tonight. All you got to do is have your parents comment that you're watching in the comment section, or have your parents text the word kids to 903-300-1994. We're so glad that you watched along with us tonight, and we can't wait to see you here next week. Make sure to join us next Sunday night, and we'll see you then.